Hello students, today we will be starting up with the analysis and design of axially loaded short columns. So what are the important things to be thought about in this case is columns. Columns are the members that are subjected to axial compression. Then in the columns also we will have, for the design based on IS 456, the design is divided into two categories. One is design of a short column, another is the design of a long column. Then in the short column also the design is divided into two categories. One is axially loaded, that means there is no bending in the column, and another one is column subjected to biaxial or uniaxial bending. Okay, so when do we consider the column to be a short column? When, as per the codal provisions, the column is considered a short column when L effective upon D minimum is less than 12. So if this value is less than 12, we will consider it to be a short column. Where what is L effective? L effective is, let us say we have a column supported like this. This is the unsupported length of the column, and L effective is related to this unsupported length by using the table given in table 28 of IS 456. It is effective length. So when the unsupported length is given, if unsupported length is given and the support conditions are given, that whether it is fixed or whether it is hinged, then this particular thing, L effective, can be obtained by using table 28 of IS 456. Is it okay? Then what is D minimum? D minimum is least lateral dimension. What do I mean by this is that if, let us say, we have provided this column, this is the column, this is the length of the column, this is width of the column, this is depth of the column, then D minimum will be minimum of these two values. Let us say this value is 400 millimeters, this value is 450 millimeters, then D minimum, we will be taking it as minimum of the two, that is 400 millimeters. So we know what is L effective, we know how much is D minimum. If this value is less than 12, then we will take this to be a short column. And if not, then we will be taking it as a long column. The design procedure I will tell it in the next slides. Then in short columns, there can be axially loaded columns or the columns that are subjected to bending. Okay. For that, just understand this, that let us say I am drawing the plan of a building. In this building, I have provided the columns at this location. So these are the locations where the column is provided, and the load of this slab is transferred to these columns with the help of the beams. So beams are there to transfer the loads. Is it okay? So when, let us say, we are analyzing the column here, this column will be transferring a load from this beam. It will be transferring the load from this beam, transferring the load from this beam, and transferring the load from this beam. When it is transferring a load, you have done it in structure analysis, it will transfer the load with the help of a reaction and a moment. So there will be a moment this side, there will be a moment this side. These two moments, they tend to cancel each other. So they'll cancel each other. Net moment, if the spans are almost similar, the value of moment will be same, then these will cancel each other. The net moment in this direction will be 0. Similarly, the net moment in this direction, it will be 0. So net moment is 0 in this case. So the interior column is basically considered as an axially loaded column. So this is axially loaded column. Whereas consider this column number 2. Now this moment and this moment, it cancels. So they cancel each other. But the moment coming from this particular side, it will not be cancelled by the moment coming from this side, because there is no moment coming from this side. So this particular column will be subjected to uniaxial bending, because there is a moment. This moment can be taken as load into eccentricity. So the load is not acting at the CG, the load is considered to be acting at a distance in order to create the moment effect. Is it okay? Clear? Then similarly, column number 3, it will have some unbalanced moment in this direction, it will have some unbalanced moment in this direction also. So this column will be called a column in biaxial bending. So today we are basically concentrating on design of axially loaded short columns. Is it okay? And the design of axially loaded short columns is done by using a formula given in clause 39.3. So what does that formula says? It says that the ultimate capacity of the column can be taken as 0.4 times FCK into AC plus 0.67 Fy into ASC. Okay. So in the axially loaded short columns, ultimate capacity of a column PU will be taken as 0.4 into FCK into AC plus 0.67 Fy into ASC. Where what does each and every term means? In this case, FCK means characteristic strength of concrete. Characteristic strength of concrete. AC means area of concrete. Fy is yield strength of steel. ASC is area of steel in compression. I have already told you in my previous class that what are the bases from where did we get 0.4 and 0.67. I have already done that particular. Quickly I'll just revise that from where do we get all these magic numbers. Actually, if we go to the basics, if let us say I have a column, this column is subjected to a load P, ultimate load. Now this column is having steel bars in it. So there are steel bars to take the load. If I take the cross section of the column, these are the steel bars that are there to take the load. Okay. So this load PU will be taken up by concrete as well as by steel. Is it okay? Then load taken by concrete will be stress in concrete into area of concrete. Load taken by steel is stress in steel into area of steel. Okay. Now these FCC and FSC, these are stresses corresponding to strain of 0.02. Now from where did we get this? We get this particular value from this assumption. It says maximum compressive strain in concrete in axial compression is taken as 0.002. So this maximum strain in axial compression is taken as 0.002. And if you remember the stress strain curve of concrete, was a parabola like this, where this value as per the code was 0.67 FCK by gamma m. Okay, and the strain is 0.002, corresponding to this, the stress is this particular value. Is it okay? So this is the strain 0.002, and corresponding to this, the stress in the system is 0.67 FCK upon gamma m, where gamma m is 1.5. So this value becomes 0.447 FCK. Is it okay? Then similarly, this is for concrete, but for steel, the values were taken by using this curve. So in this curve, if you mark a line corresponding to 0.002, you will get somewhere in between this particular values. Okay. So corresponding to this, the code says that we will take a value common for all types of steel, and this value is taken as, so FCC is taken as 0.447 FCK. FSC is taken as 0.75 FY. Is it okay? Clear? So therefore, if I put all these values, ultimate load that can be taken by RCC column will be taken as 0.447 FCK plus AC plus 0.75 FY into ASC. Again the code says, because it is axially loaded column, but this column, the code says that we need to design the column for some minimum eccentricity. So for a minimum eccentricity of 0.05 times the least lateral dimension. So if we are allowing a minimum eccentricity, the code says that decrease the values by 11% to consider eccentricity. So if I decrease this value by 11%, that means I'll multiply this by 0.89. That is 89% of the value. So this will approximately come to be 0.4. Similarly, if I reduce this value by 0.89, what I'll get is 0.67. So ultimately what I get is 0.4 FCK AC plus 0.67 FY into ASC. So this is the basis for the origin of this particular formula that is given in the code. So this formula says, if you know what kind of concrete you are using, if you know the cross-sectional area of concrete, if you know what kind of steel you are using, you know the cross-sectional area of steel, what you will be able to get is the ultimate load carrying capacity. Okay. Now for the use, we further modify the formula. See, the formula that is given in the code is PU is equal to 0.4 into FCK into AC plus 0.67 FY into ASC, where AAC is the area of concrete. Now, if you look at the cross section has concrete, whole of this is concrete except these bars that are of steel. So, area of concrete can be easily said as total area, gross area minus area of steel. Because we generally have the cross-sectional details, we have the gross area. So, instead of writing AC, we generally write 0.4 into FCK into AG minus ASC plus 0.67 FY into ASC. So, this comes out to be 0.4 FCK into AG plus 0.67 FY minus 0.4 FCK into ASC. So, this will be the formula that I will be using for calculating the load carrying capacity, or if load is given, for calculating the area, cross-sectional area and area of steel provided. Is it okay? Is it clear to you? Now, what are the basic conditions for using this formula? The basic conditions for using this formula is it should be a short column. Short column. How do we say that it is a short column? By finding L effective by D, it has to be less than 12. Secondly, this has to be axially loaded. That is, the minimum eccentricity has to be less than 0.05 D. Now, I have already done that particular thing in my previous class, where I said that this particular case, E minimum, as per E minimum should not be more than 0.05 D, actually leads us to this criteria. D has to be should not be less than 400 millimeters and D should not be less than 0.12 L. So, for axially loaded, the criteria should be minimum dimension should be greater than 400 millimeters and it should also be greater than 0.12 times L. Where what is L? L over here is unsupported length. It is not the effective length. Okay. So, if these two criteria are satisfied, I can find out the value of the ultimate load carrying capacity by using this formula. Is it okay? Clear? So, let's start with a very simple question. Let us say I am first of all talking about the analysis. I am already given with the cross-sectional details and I am already given with the type of the column. So, the question is, I am having a square column 400 by 400 millimeter. So, this is the cross-section. Square column 400 by 400 millimeters is reinforced with 4 bars of 16 mm dia using M20 concrete and Fe415 steel. You are to find load carrying capacity if this column is axially loaded short column. Because in this question the length is not given, so I cannot find out whether it is a short column or whether it is an axially loaded column. So it means it is directly given in the question that it is an axially loaded short column. So this question is extremely simple. The solution will be, I will find out ultimate load carrying capacity by using this formula. ASC. FCK characteristic strength, because we are using M20 concrete, we'll take it 20. Then gross area, we are using 400 by 400 cross section, so gross area is 400 by 400 plus 0.67 Fy. We are using Fe 400, so F 415, so this is 415 minus 0.4 into FCK is 20 into 4 bars. We are using 4 bars of 16 mm dia, that means 4 into pi by 4 into 16 square. Calculate it, whatever you will get, it will be in Newton. So it means I will be dividing it by 1000 to convert it into kilonewton. So the answer is it is coming out to be 1497120 Newton. So generally we don't write it in newtons, so it means the answer is 1497 kilonewtons. So the load that this particular column can take is nearly 1500 kilonewtons. So this is a simple analysis kind of a question. Now when we are doing a design question, when we say design a column, so what will be given to us? Given to us will be the load that can be taken by the column, the load that is to be transferred, the length of the column, and the end conditions. How is the column supported? What else will be given to you will be type of concrete and type of steel that we are using. So type of steel that we are using in the construction. So what will be the steps? What will be required? So required will be, if I am to design a column, I must finalize the cross section. So cross section I need to find out. Then I need to find out how much should be the longitudinal reinforcement. Then thirdly, how much should be the transverse reinforcement. Transverse reinforcement. Is it okay? Clear? Now what is the procedure? Procedure. Now the first procedure will be, we need to find out whether it is a short column or not. Now this short column or not will depend upon L effective upon D minimum. Then we will have to judge whether it is axially loaded or not. Axially loaded or not. Again, this axially loaded will be if D minimum is less than 400 millimeters, should not be less than, is greater than 400 millimeters, or it is greater than 0.12 L, then I will be taking it as an axially loaded. Now since I do not have the cross section, I do not have these two values, I cannot find out D minimum. So what I will do is, I will initially assume that both the conditions are satisfied. Assume both conditions are satisfied. Okay, so it means I can directly use the formula PU is equal to 0.4 into FCK into AG plus 0.67 Fy minus 0.4 into FCK into ASC. Now in this particular formula, I know how much is the load that is to be taken. I know how much is which type of concrete I am using. I know which kind of steel I am using. But in this question, in this particular equation, I do not know this value and I do not know this value. So it means I am having only one equation but two unknowns. So it means I'll start with assuming some value of ASC. So our first step will then become, we will assume a value of ASC. So the codal provisions, I have already discussed it in my previous class, that minimum longitudinal reinforcement requirements of reinforcement, just a moment. For columns, minimum longitudinal reinforcement and maximum reinforcement, this particular clause, it says the cross-sectional area of longitudinal reinforcement shall not be less than 0.8% nor more than 6% of the gross cross-sectional area of the column. So I can assume any value between 0.8% and 6% of AG. Okay, so I'll assume a value between 0.8% to 6% of AG. Generally, I assume a value between 1 to 2%. So this is the value I'll assume for AG, for ASC. So ASC, I'll write it down in terms of AG. So what I'll get is, I'll use this formula to get AG. Okay. So second is, by using this formula, get AG and provide the cross section. So your cross section is already provided. Your first step is over. Second step is your longitudinal reinforcement. So longitudinal reinforcement. Now in this question only, in this formula only, I know AG. I will not now assume ASC. I'll put the value of AG and I'll get ASC. So I'm using this same equation only, equation 1. In first step, I'll be assuming ASC and get AG. In second step, I'll put the original value of AG and I'll be getting ASC by equation 1. And depending upon the area, I'll provide number and diameter of bar. Is it okay? Your third step, next step is your transverse reinforcement. So transverse reinforcement, transverse reinforcement is taken by again the codal provisions. Depending upon the type of transverse reinforcement, it is on page number 49. If your transverse reinforcement is lateral ties, you will be using this particular form equations, and if your transverse reinforcement is helical ties, you will be using this particular thing. So this transverse reinforcement will be simply obtained. It will be simply obtained by using clauses given in 5.3.2. Is it okay? And depending upon that, we will provide the steel and draw detailing. Now, before doing all this, one step is to be done in between, and that step is, because to start up with, we assume that it is a short column, it is an axially loaded column. It might not be. So we might not be able to use this formula. So over here, once you get gross area, you have provided the cross section. Over here, you will check whether it is a short column and whether it is an axially loaded column. Because we want our system to always fall in this particular case, so if by this particular thing you do not get a short column, we will increase the cross section to make it a short column. Is it okay? Clear? So today I'll be doing one numerical in which I'll be using lateral tiles. So the numerical is design a column 4 meter long and it is restrained in position and direction at both ends to carry an axial load of 1600 kilonewton. Use M20 concrete and Fe 415 steel. So solution is very simple. See, we have to design a column. This is unsupported length that is given. To find out effective length, this condition is given, but I do not require it because I'll assume it is an axially loaded short column. We'll check it afterwards, otherwise we will not be able to move. So we'll have to assume before moving forward. So it means if we are assuming this to be axially loaded short column, it means I'll be able to use PU is equal to 0.4 FCK into AG plus 0.67 Fy minus 0.4 FCK into ASC. Okay? So it means PU is given to be 1600 is not a factored load. I'll make it factored, that is I'll make it multiply with 1600. So it is coming out to be 2400 kilonewton. I am assuming that we are using 1% of steel. It has to be greater than 0.8%, less than 6%. So I am assuming 0.1%. So therefore ASC is taken as 1 upon 100 of AG, that is 0.01 into AG. So I'll simply put the values. This is 2400 kilonewton. I'll convert it into Newton, is equal to 0.4. FCK is 20 into AG I do not know. 0.6 into Fy is 415 minus 0.4 into 20 into ASC is 0.01 into AG. We have assumed it to be 1%. Okay, we'll solve this, we'll get the value of AG. So AG is coming out to be 44888 millimeter square. Okay, so let us say I'm going in for a square column. So if we are going in for a square column, then side of a square column will be this value. So side is coming out to be 474 millimeters. So let us say we are provide 500 by 500 cross section column. So we are providing a column with the dimensions of 500 by 500. Okay, so this is my first step. My second step will be, I'll have to check whether it is really a short column and whether it is really an axially loaded column. Now for checking for short column, the check was L effective upon D has to be less than 12, where L effective will be based upon unsupported length and restraint conditions. So it is said that it is restrained in position and direction at both ends. So I'll be using table 28. The system is restrained in position and direction. That means it cannot move from this point and it cannot sway also. Okay, it cannot rotate and it cannot sway. Okay, so it is this particular case only, restraint held in position and restraint against rotation at both ends. It cannot rotate and it cannot move. Look at this case. For instance, at one end it cannot move and it cannot also rotate. That means it is fixed at one end, and at second end it is free. It is free to move in position. So it is free to move in position, but since the angle is not changing, the angle remains 90 degrees only even after rotation. We will say that rotation is not allowed. So this is a case in which one end is fixed. That means it is not allowed to rotate, it is not allowed to move. Whereas the second end is allowed to move, but it is not allowed to rotate. Now, depending upon all these cases, you will have recommended value of effective length. So in our case, in our question, it is case number 1. The value of recommended L effective is 0.65 times L. Okay. So I will be using L effective to be 0.65 into L. Our L is 4 meters, so it is coming out to be 2.6 meters. So for short columns, we will find out L effective upon D minimum. So it is 2600. Now D minimum has to be minimum of the two values. Because it is a square column, both the values are 500. We will take the value of 500. So this value is coming out to be 5.2. It is less than 12. Okay. Second check is that whether it is an axially loaded column. Axially loaded column. For meeting this criteria, the value of D, the value of minimum D minimum has to be greater than 400 millimeters and has to be greater than 0.12 L. Now D minimum we have provided is 500 millimeters. It is greater than 400 millimeters. So this is okay. Then we will make another check. 0.12 into L is unsupported length, that is 4 meters, that is 4000 millimeters. So it is 0.12 into 4000, 480. So whatever D we have provided, it is greater than 480. So it means it is okay in both the criteria. So whatever formula we used is okay. We can use this formula to design the column. So we have already decided the cross section. Now the next step is we are to find out reinforcement. So next step is longitudinal reinforcement. Now for using this, I will be using again the same formula. 2400 into 10 raised to power 3 is equal to 0.4 into 20 into AG. Now we have provided 500 by 500 plus 0.67 Fy minus 0.4 into 20 into FCK into ASC. Now I will be simply finding out the value of ASC. So it is coming out to be 1481 millimeter square. We will check it that this much 1481 millimeter square. Just a moment. millimeter square. We will check that this value should be greater than 0.8% of Ag and it should be less than 6% of Ag. Now Ag we have provided it as 500 by 500. 0.8% of Ag is 0.8 into 500 into 500. So 2000 millimeter square. So minimum we'll have to go in for this value of Ag. So because this value is even lesser than 0.8%, so we will provide at least 2000 millimeter square as ASC. Okay. So let us say we are going in for 16 mm dia bars. So it means we will require 10 bars. We will not go in for 16 mm. Let us say we are going in for 20 mm dia bars. So the number of bars will be area required divided by area of 1 bar. So it is coming out to be 6.36. I'll have to go in for 7 bars, but 7 bars will be unsymmetrical, so we'll provide 8 bars. So 8 bars of 20 mm dia. How do we arrange those 8 bars? This is 500, this is 500. I will provide 4 bars at the periphery, then 4 bars like this. So we are going in for 8 bars, 20 dia. Is it okay? And the last step is providing of lateral ties. So this is step number 3. Step number 4 is lateral ties. Lateral ties, we really do not require much calculation. All we need to do is we need to follow the codal provisions. So the codal provisions for lateral ties, they were given on page number 49. And it was 2 things. First is the diameter. So the diameter, what does the code says? It has to be the diameter shall not be less than 1/4 of the diameter of the largest longitudinal bar, nor less than, it's not 16 millimeters, it is 6 millimeters. Okay. So what does it say? How much should be the diameter of the lateral tie? It should not be less than 6 millimeters and it should not be less than the diameter of longitudinal bar upon 4. We are using 20 mm longitudinal bar. So 20 upon 4, that is 5 millimeters. So we are, let us say, providing 6 millimeter dia ties. Next is, at what pitch should we provide the ties? At what spacing should we provide the ties? For this, the code has given three conditions. The pitch should not be less than 300 millimeters. Pitch should not be more than 300 millimeters. Should not be more than least lateral dimension. Should not be more than 16 times the smallest diameter of the longitudinal bar. Okay. So it means pitch should not be more than least lateral dimension In our case, we are using 500 millimeter cross section. So this is 500 millimeter. It should not be more than 16 times dia of longitudinal bar, smallest longitudinal bar. Now smallest dia that we are using is 20 only, because we are using only one dia of bars. So this is 16 into 20, that means it is 320 millimeters. It should not be more than 300 millimeters. So it means it should not be more than 500, it should not be more than 320, it should not be more than 300. So the thing that will satisfy all three is least of 3. So it means what I am saying is we will be providing 6 millimeter dia at the rate of 300 center to center lateral ties. So our design is complete. We have decided the cross section, we have decided the longitudinal reinforcement, we have decided the ties. Now how do we draw the detailing? For the detailing, this is the column, this is the length of the column, and along this length we are providing a cross section. Cross section of the column is 500 by 500, and we are providing 8 lateral ties, 8 longitudinal reinforcement at the periphery. So it means this is 820 dia. Is it okay? How will we see in the front view? In the front view we will be seeing one vertical bar for all three, another vertical bar for all three. For these two we will be able to see one bar in the center. So we will be writing it here, 8 number 20 dia. Okay. Then lateral ties. We show the lateral ties by drawing the lines like this in the front view. So these lateral ties are 6 number at the rate of 300 center to center. And how do we show it in the cross section? In the cross section we show these ties as, it will start from here, it will go round this particular, and it will bend up like this. Now because these bars are also to be connected, the next tie will be done like this. I have already given one lecture in which we found out what are the conditions for lateral ties, how the things are to be connected. Is it okay? So we'll write it down, 6 at the rate of 300 center to center. So this is detailing. So detailing of the reinforcement. I think the question is clear to you. The design is clear to you. So next class I will be telling you about the design of the axially loaded short columns only, but the reinforcement will not be lateral ties, it will be spiral. Okay. Till then do this question and try 1 or 2 questions on your own. Thank you.